Do you have a ton of debt and have no idea how to get rid of it? Check out this video. Hello again, everybody. My name is Mark Rawmaker, the real estate ninja, with the home squad at eXp Realty here in beautiful Orlando, Florida. If this is your first time here on our channel, please hit the subscribe button so you get notified every time we come out with new content. We deliver fantastic content and fun content every week. This week, we have an interview with our dear friend Kyle Fowler. He has his own company, Flip the Script Financial Coaching. He's helping so many people get out of debt, make a plan, and save money for the future. But today he gave us his 5 steps to get out of debt fast. Him and his wife had a ton of debt, and in 26 months, they're completely debt-free. Here's his story. Hey everybody, we are super excited today to have our good friend Kyle Fowler on here. He has his own business, Flip the Script Financial Coaching, and we have him on here to talk about getting out of debt. Kyle, why don't you tell us a little bit about your business?
So at Flip the Script Financial Coaching, I walk clients through their own personal finances. And we take a step back, we look at all the numbers, and then we try to align some kind of a plan that sets them up for success long term. Most of us think in the short term and something we just want now, but we have to be thinking long term, and whether that's paying things off or whether that's traveling or having a family. Retirement is another one that that people want to talk about, or even owning a house is some of the long-term goals that we look at with some of the clients.
When we're sitting down with people, especially first-time home buyers, but really anybody, you know, that debt to income ratio that you might discuss with your lender, that can be really scary. We see a lot of people who have to eliminate debt, and then ultimately most people just want to eliminate debt. So you have a really interesting story. I know that you were in a little bit of debt and you paid it all off. Do you think you have maybe about like 5 steps you could talk through?
Yeah, sure. So if I had to break it down into 5 steps, first thing that happens is there's usually some kind of a trigger. So there's something that happens in us that says, I've had it. Something has to change. Can't live like this anymore. And we knew that something had to change. For us, that moment was we were actually shopping to fill the house that we had just moved into. When we were moving into the house, we were told by our loan officer, hey, why don't you go ahead and have a better debt to income ratio? They would rather see that than extra money in the bank. And so we started paying stuff off, but we didn't really have a plan. We didn't know what we were doing. We just knew that we were paying down a credit card. So once we moved into the house, we started racking those credit cards back up because we got the keys, baby. And so we moved right on in and started filling it. And we were at Macy's. And I was thinking, we're not really going to spend that much money. It's just sheets and some pillows. And it was $600. And we split it onto 2 credit cards. And that was our moment where we said, something has to change. And money just wasn't something that we talked about. It wasn't something that was really talked about in our homes growing up. We definitely didn't learn about it in school. So we didn't really know how to talk to each other about it. Of course, we didn't know how to talk to other people about it. And we sat down with a financial advisor at one point, and that was the most depressing and hopeless conversation.
Did it happen instantly, that trigger, or did it take a few days? I'm just curious if some other people maybe had the trigger and didn't recognize it.
The trigger was probably more Ashley's trigger. My trigger, I felt like I didn't have one very defined moment. For me specifically, for us, that was that moment. And for Ashley, that was that moment. I've hated money my entire life. I've always had a bad taste in my mouth when it comes to money. I love having it, you know, because you can have more fun and do more things with it. But I was always afraid of it. But I was afraid of it because I didn't understand it. Once I understood it, then everything started to change and unlock. But for me, it was my entire life that I felt uncomfortable talking about money because I felt like I was the only person that didn't have it figured out, that everyone else had it figured out except me.
Now, speaking of being uncomfortable, I think, myself included, and I feel like other people, when you start talking about finances and debt, that's all relative for people. So somebody's like $3,000 credit card could just be as much to somebody else who's maybe like $100,000 in debt. And so that can be really iffy. They're sitting down with somebody and they're just a lot of personal information. It can kind of, I think, carry shame sometimes. So are you comfortable sharing? What did you crawl out of? What was your number?
Well, when my wife and I started, so right after that moment kind of happened, which was the trigger, we knew something needed to change. We just didn't know how to change it. because we didn't understand it. So after that moment, that probably happened sometime in, I'm going to say, the fall of 2017. And so in December of 2017, I was told by a good friend, hey, read this book. And I read The Total Money Makeover, and I ordered it. I was like, okay, whatever. He talked
Put it on
really
a
highly
credit card.
about it. And right. And so I actually don't think I did put it on a credit card. I might have. I might have. I actually can't remember. Now I want to know. And so I start reading the book. Ashley leaves for work. She comes home and I say, hey, it's your turn. She says, my turn for what? And I said, it's your turn to read the book. She's like, you finished the book? Yeah, yeah. I don't read that fast. It was kind of a big deal. But I had taken in that entire book. And so she set herself down on the table and sat down on the floor next to the table and said, I want to hear all about it. Tell me everything. And so we spent the next few hours talking, with me just regurgitating everything that I could remember from the book that I had just taken in. But the thing is, I can't do it without you. We have to decide together that this is something that we want to do. And she said, I'm in. I haven't read the book, but I'm listening to you. I know it's important. We know it's important. We know why it's important.
And at that point, were you keeping track of your debt, or were you just you just knew it was there?
We knew it was there. So our finances were separate, which now looking back on it feels weird to ask your wife for her half of the mortgage, but we had kept everything separate. And so we didn't really know the amount that each other had. We knew that there were some credit cards. We knew there was some student loans. We knew there was cars and we knew that there was stuff, but we had never actually put it on paper. And that's part of the process with working with people, is actually having them put it all onto paper and actually looking at what it is. And it feels very overwhelming, and it can feel, no matter how much it is, people feel bad if it's $5,000 and people feel bad if it's a lot more than that. But when we threw all of our numbers on, it was $107,328.49, $107,328.49. But that didn't even include some of the other stuff that we weren't counting, like cell phones. We didn't count our cell phones as debt, and we had owed money for taxes for that year that we didn't count, but ended up being just shy of $114,000 that we had just in consumer debt, not even the house. And we paid that off in 26 months. It was like 25 and a half. I was angry that it was over 2 years, but we were excited because
That's amazing.
We were thinking by the math of it that it was going to take us 4.5.
I would think if I saw that number on paper, it would take me years and years and years, but you did it. So that was all part of step one, like the trigger and just kind of confronting it, would you say?
I would say the trigger is what prompted buying the book, sitting down, talking about it, kind of opening up the conversation from that happening, which we had wanted it our entire lives. And it felt like somebody just kind of put it into a plan for us. And then out of that conversation grew the second step, and that would be the why.
So trigger, first step. Why, second step. And that can be different for everybody, right? Anything.
Why is so different. So for me and Ashley, we knew we wanted to start a family. We knew we wanted to travel. It's funny, in the middle of us paying stuff off, I was flipping through pictures, and I landed on a picture of us when we were in Finland. Smile on her face brought tears to my eyes, because I was looking at the picture and she's like, what's wrong? And I said, the person that's in this picture is not the person I'm sitting next to. You are so happy, and you and I were so fulfilled traveling that I don't realize what exactly we are sacrificing by waiting. It was bigger than us.
Yeah. So step one, trigger. Step two, why. Step three.
Step three, I would say, find somebody that you can talk to. So, but that person has to be someone that you completely trust. Somebody that knows the struggles of what you're going through, that understands and listens. Somebody who knows what it is that you want. So when you're having those really down moments, that's a financial coach, if that's a pastor, if that's a parent, somebody that you can talk to and understand. I think support is absolutely massive. We didn't have the muscle memory to talk about money, so we didn't know how. So the only person we knew how to talk about money with was each other. And then in talking to each other about money opened up more of our relationship, but it also opened up conversations that we would have with other people, such as you guys. I mean, talking to people that understood what it was that we were going for, because it's not normal. It's not normal to have money come into the house and just literally shovel it out the window
to other people.
So there's a book by Vicki Robin called Your Money, Your Life. And in there, she talks about the only thing of value we have in life is time. That way back when we started bartering, we were bartering, items, but really they were things that took us time in order to make. So she refers to time as life energy. And that's really the only thing of value we have. And we exchange our life energy for some kind of compensation. whether that's an item or whether that's something fun or in exchange for our services, but we exchange life energy for that. So in the middle of us paying off, especially student loans, because Ashley had already paid hers off, I think mine were around 42 grand when we started this whole thing.
Mhm.
And they felt like they were never going away. We kept, and I mean shoveling money onto it, and it wouldn't go away. And I told Ashley at one point, I was like, I feel like my life isn't mine right now. So when I read the book and kind of understood the concept of what life energy was, I was like, oh, it's because anything that you owe money to is literally taking life from you.
Yes. What
So
a
you feel
great
like
analogy.
you have nowhere left to pour from, because you can't pour from an empty cup. But it's tough. That's why the why is so important and the support is so important. So step 4, you have to have some kind of a plan. You know exactly where the money is going. So the plan would be the budget. This was my first budget. Yeah, I literally did it on a piece of notebook paper because I had no idea. I'm like doing math. It's third grade math, but I still had to figure out what I was putting money towards and what
Right.
we were doing. And what people tend to do is they tend to focus on too many things. So, well, you need to be putting money into retirement, you need to be paying off your debt, but you need to be building up savings, and you have to be getting ready for your kid for go to college, and you have to be paying off your house. And there's too much. There's way
Yeah.
too much. And you don't have enough money that month to really make an impact in any one of those categories unless you focus on that category. When Ashley and I first started, we set a little money aside into a starter emergency fund, so just $1,000. So for 2 years, we were living off of knowing we only had $1,000 off to the side.
So when you made that plan and that budget, did you make it to pay off the entire debt, or did you just change your lifestyle to just say, if I do this, it will eventually pay off the debt?
We knew that we had to live on a budget. We never had. So that meant that we had to actually put numbers on paper. We had to actually think about what numbers going down. And as a financial coach, I don't ever tell people where to spend their money. That's not my job. My job is to be able to look at your plan from an unbiased kind of an overview. If you're really passionate about food, you're going to be spending a lot of money on food, but you might not even realize it.
Right,
Because
'cause
what's
those-
$30 here? What's this much here? But
Totally.
$30 a day is, I mean, that's more than $10,000 a year.
So
Cool.
trigger, why, support, budget. What's number 5?
Number 5 would be you got to do it.
Execution.
You gotta do it.
The
Yeah.
You gotta
hardest.
execute the plan. There's going to be things that happen along the way, hiccups and road bumps.
Yeah.
Yes.
Now the execution, once you kind of did those first 4 steps, do you feel like it was pretty easy to implement into your lifestyle?
I think we hit the ground running pretty fast. It doesn't mean that it's easy to stay with it.
Hearing you talk right now, it really is inspirational because so many people, including ourselves, have been in that situation. They didn't teach us that in school. You're so passionate about it. You have so much knowledge about it.
And
you're giving back.
experience.
Yeah. And you have a story that you're like,
Mhm.
I've been there. I'm just really happy for you and that you're doing this and that you're giving back. I hope that people will reach out to you that are feeling the same way you did back when you were at Macy's because that's,
And
yeah.
one of the best things to do if you're watching this, you can join his Facebook page.
Financial flippers, because it's packed with a bunch of people who are ready to flip the script. And so that's why we call them financial flippers.
Yeah, we are a part of that group. Kyle has amazing insight. Everybody on there is a good support system. Dip your toes into this whole conversation. My opinion is that most people just I would get the most nervous about making that plan and be like, okay, well, I made my budget, but now how do I really strategize paying off these debts? And that's when working with Kyle on a professional level and his expertise, it's going to get you there. And join the Facebook page to start.
Well, it's fantastic because it's honest. I felt like I was the only one who didn't have it figured out. And I was convinced that everyone else knew what was going on and how to deal with money but I didn't understand it.
So if people want to find you, go ahead and tell us where we can find you.
Sure. So you can find me. My handle is FTS Financial Coaching on Facebook and Instagram, Financial Flippers. You can just search that and join our group. You can find me on Facebook and go ahead and message me there.
I have a question for you. If you had to sum up really what you do as a financial coach for your clients, how would you sum that up?
What I do is I help them take a step back and make a decision that's based on facts and based on their goals and not based on their emotions and fear.
Thank you so much for giving us all of your insight and your knowledge.
Yes, you have wet my whistle.
I think if anybody's watching this and they just have any kind of questions or anything, Kyle is there for anybody. He is a bucket of knowledge, as you can see from this interview. And we're excited for you. And obviously, if you have any financial questions, reach Kyle. If you have real estate questions, you know that Mark and Sarah are here in the Home Squad. So thanks for watching, guys. Kyle, thanks for joining us.
Thank you, Kyle.
Thanks for having me. Appreciate it.
Bye.
Bye.
Bye.